Hey guys, how's it going? Crane here. Today I want to bring you guys another sponsored Shadowverse video where I go into some of the major mechanics that make Shadowverse the amazing game that it is. Later this month there's going to be some huge free rewards for playing Shadowverse. I think you're getting 40 packs for free over the span of like a week or so of login rewards, along with double missions, along with all that other crazy stuff. So, now As always, every time I make one of these videos, it's as good of a time as ever to start playing, and as such, I thought it's important to highlight and give you guys some of my experience with the mechanics that really matter and allow you to use your skill to win in Shadowverse. If you haven't checked out the game so far, you really should, and I'd appreciate it if you use the link in the description below. Today I want to talk about the evolution mechanic. Evolutions are what separate Shadowverse's combat from other card games. It's what makes the game feel back and forth. It's what makes the game feel interactive. It's what really allows the game to kind of house crazy insane combo decks, crazy control decks, crazy aggro decks. Every one, if you look at it in a vacuum, seems so insanely broken and polarized and nothing could ever beat this, but somehow it all comes together, and at any given point in Shadowverse's history, the balance has actually been quite good. So this is achieved through the evolution mechanic, and I have a game state here where I can go over some of the basics, and I'll go over some of the more advanced stuff after that. So it's my turn here. I'm going second, which means I have 3 evolution points. So these little diamonds here, these are my evolution points. I have 3 of them. My opponent will have 2 of them. So mine actually activated first. My evolution points activated first because I went second. Going second gives you an extra evolution point, and it gives you the ability to evolve first. You also get an extra card draw on turn 1. No mulligan advantage, but it allows you to basically begin your comeback. In every game, going second, you're almost always going to be behind on the board, but you're going to be the first one to come over the top of what your opponent has. And right now I'm playing as the practice AI, so we have unlimited time, and I picked a zoo opponent here just so I can show you guys how trading and how planning really works. So if I chose to evolve something, I can figure out what the something does. So this is a bone chimera. Oh, let's click on an even simpler card. So ascetic knight. So my opponent can evolve this hypothetically if he wanted to, if it was still alive on his next turn. It costs 3. It's 1 attack, 2 defense, and fanfare. So on play, summon a heavy knight, and this is the heavy knight here, I believe. Oh no, that's the heavy knight there. It's also a 1/2, although it was originally. And if he chooses to evolve this, or if anyone evolves this, it'll become a 3 attack, 4 defense follower. So this is a very standard evolution stat bonus. So +2/+2 is typically what you see with evolutions. Sometimes you see more awkward distributions of that. Sometimes you'll see like only an attack boost, but it's quite rare. This is really quite standard for Shadowverse cards, and some other cards have lower stat boosts on evolutions, but they have evolution triggered effects. Now there's none of these on the board, but if you have some of these cards in your deck, it might alter the way you use evolutions, because you might have an incentive to save your evolution effects for those triggered evolution effects later on in the game if you don't have those cards on curve potentially. The other thing that evolutions allow you to do is it allows you to attack right away. So let's just hypothetically take a look at the Necro Assassin here. If I played this, it kills off one of my guys and it kills off a random one of my opponent's guys. But if I played this, it's a 3/3, but if I evolved it becomes a 5/5, and it can attack right away. That is really important. The fact that it can attack right away, but only into other followers. So if I played this, evolved it, I could not slam my opponent in the face for 5. I'd have to attack one of my opponent's followers for 5. Now, the storm mechanic, the mechanic that allows follower to attack face right away, that bypasses that restriction. So if I play a card that has storm and then evolve it, I can attack face. And similarly, if I have a guy in play that can attack face because I played him on a prior turn, I can evolve this and attack face as well. So if I was playing like a face deck, it might make sense to evolve a follower that was already in play in order to do more face damage, because if I evolved a follower that just came into play, I couldn't do extra face damage that turn. So that's kind of the first distinction, actually. If you're playing a face deck, you generally want to evolve followers that are already in play or have Storm. But if you're playing any other type of deck, you're generally fighting for board control, and with board control you want to evolve followers that you just played so they can interact with the board immediately. The next thing you have to really consider when you are evolving is counterplay. There's a lot of small damage effects in Shadowverse, as with all card games, but they really matter a lot more in Shadowverse because of the back and forth evolution exchange. So, for instance, I do have the extra evolution point, but I require it to come back in the game because I went second and I'm playing against a fairly aggressive opponent. So the play that I would suggest here, my opponent has a 2/1 follower, and I think I'm just going to attack into that. When the Chimera dies, it spawns 2 skeletons, which are 1/1s. I can then play the Necro Assassin, get rid of one of the skeletons. It kills off one random guy off of my opponent's board, and he has 3 damage total with a 1/2. So if I evolve the Necro Assassin, the Necro Assassin will be a 5/5. It can attack right away, but only into my opponent's followers. It cannot attack my opponent in the face directly. Killing that, you can see this board state. He can only trade with 1/1. That's a trade. That's not a free kill. Or he has to evolve one of the guys that are in play already. So if he evolves this, it'll become a 3/3. So when cards evolve, they actually retain their current stat manipulations. So this lost the health. When it evolves, it'll be a 3/4 -1. So it keeps the -1. If it had like a +2/+2 buff, it'll be like a 3/3 right now. It'll become a 5/5. So buffs carry over, debuffs or health losses also carry over. So he would basically have to either evolve to counter my play to try to take over the board again, or he needs to have some kind of direct damage card. He doesn't have Zombie Party because it's a Shadowcraft card, but something like that. Deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. Something like that can be very important to try to counter back and forth evolution. So if you're ahead on the board and you want to do face damage, you can evolve something that's already in play. But otherwise, if you're ahead and it's kind of a marginal game, you want to save your evolution points to where you will then go behind in the game. And that'll usually happen from some kind of effect like this, perhaps some kind of board clear, or your opponent using an evolution point. It's very valuable to have the last evolution point, because when going into the late game dealing with really big cards, having a really big card go over the top of another already big card is extremely game swinging. So even though we want to push evolution points back and forth, it's not a one-dimensional game. You really do need to think about the long game. The other big considerations that don't really have to do with this game too much. Number one is, what kind of deck are you playing? If you're playing a more aggressive deck, but not necessarily a face deck, you can usually be a bit more relaxed and just pick your very valuable, your very game-swinging evolutions. You might be able to, kind of concede the board a little bit in some of those cases. If you're playing a control deck, you usually have a wider variance of hand draws. So if you get a really bad hand, you'll basically have to evolve every single follower that you play as soon as you play it, so that you can keep contesting the board and actually make it to the late game. If you're playing a combo deck, in some cases you might have to really save those evolution points for very key cards that combo off and eventually kill your opponent. Or if you're playing just, a whatever deck, you really have to play it on the fly, and all in all, at the end, you really have to understand what kind of counterplays are available from your opponent. Now, that is something that is very difficult to go over in this video because, there's a lot of cards in Shadowverse, and I think at the end of this month, we're going to get even more, because 3 months on the dot, it's Shadowverse expansion time. So really the best way to learn the game is to play. It's one of the most wonderful and fantastic games to just start playing and and learn. You get so much free content right away. You can actually get competitive decks on free-to-play accounts very early. Some people have like full competitive lineups on free-to-play accounts. Shadowverse is a very generous game, and it really allows you to have a lot of fun and play through these interactions. And, you know, while this is a guideline, there are always exceptions to everything, and you really need to understand that. You got to have an open mind going into a game like this because there's so much strategy, there's so much depth. It could be that, you know, you just have a ton of board clears at 5 and 6 play points, and, you know, maybe it's not worth it to evolve on 5 and 6. Maybe in your given specific deck, you generally want to evolve on turn 4, and, you know, after the board clears come into play on turns like 7 or 8 to win the long game. So there's a lot of strategy that you kind of need some experience to develop, but hopefully this guide gives you at least, you know, a little bit of what goes into the thought process and gives you a head start and perhaps a competitive edge over some of your opponents. So I hope you guys enjoyed my guide. Hope you guys learned something. Check out the Shadowverse, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.